Dear students, today I am going to explain about the topic specialization and generalization in ER model. Already in the ER model we have discussed about entities, attributes, relationship, cardinality ratio and participation, that is total participation, partial participation, and then some specialization method, that is min-max notation and so on. So now we are going to discuss about specialization and generalization in DBMS. Okay, before defining the specialization and generalization, we should know about what is meant by subclass and superclass. Okay, an entity type may have additional meaningful subgrouping of its entities, so that we can call it as a subclass. For example, employee may be further, we have the company database we have taken, in that we are having the entity types employee, department, project and dependent. If you take employee, it will be grouped into secretary, manager, technician, etc. based on their employee's job. Based on the job what they are doing, we can classify that into secretary, engineer and technician. And based on the role we can classify into employee as a manager. And also based on the employee's method of pay, we can classify into salaried employees and hourly based employees. So these things will be represented in the ER diagram, that is called as a enhanced ER diagram. So ER diagrams means enhanced ER diagrams, extend ER diagrams to represent these additional subgroupings is called as a subclasses or subtypes. This secretary, engineer, technician all are called as a subclasses of the main class, superclass employee. So here we are having employee, we are having many instances. That employee is having the instances secretary, engineer, technician. This should be done based on their job, what nature of the job. So here we have taken that employee is having its own attributes, and from that based on the job it is classified into three groups. Employees are subclasses into the three specialization of employees are secretary, technician, engineer is one specialization. Another one is based on the role manager. Another one is based on that salary, how they are getting salaried employees and hourly employees. So these are the three subclasses. So within that subclass again we are having the three specialized secretary, technician and engineer. So each subclass is described with its own attribute. Typing speed. For secretary, typing speed is a special attribute describe the secretary. That other attributes, SSN, name, the birth date, address, everything of that employee is common for secretary. It's like an inheritance. That is a subclass will inherit all the properties of superclass employee, along with it is having its own property, typing speed. And same thing for engineering type. So other attributes are common, then only that engineering type it's a special attribute for engineer. So it's the same as the inheritance in already you have studied in Java and C++, same as that, but DBMS we are representing like this, because nowadays in DBMS we are using object oriented relational model also. There we are in a position to implement object oriented programming concepts. We can represent like this. And then each of these subgroups is a subset of employee entities, that is engineer, type, technician and so on. Each is called as a subclass of employee. Employee is a superclass of each of these subclasses. For example, there are called superclass subclass relationships. Here employee secretary, one relationship. Employee technician, superclass subclass relationship. Employee manager. Representing specialization in ER diagram, that is enhanced ER diagram. So there are also called is a relationship is used. That is employee is a secretary is a employee, technician is a employee, engineer is a employee. Because secretary, technician, engineer are all the subclasses of the superclass employee. Okay, so the employee, and then in the different way we can read it as secretary is an employee, technician is a employee, engineer is a employee. You should use this notation, this arrow we have to use to represent the specialization. This is normally we will call it as an inheritance. Representing specialization in ER diagram. So specialization is the process of defining a set of subclasses of a superclass. That is a specialization process. The set of subclasses is based upon some distinguishing characteristics of the entities in the superclass. We know that based on the job type only, the employees are classified subgrouped into secretary, engineer and technician. Based on the specialization, based on the role, what role they are playing, the group that employees subclasses into manager. We have several specialization for same employee. We have taken one is their job, another one is we have taken the role, another one is their salary. Next we will see the generalization. Now I think we understood that is for any superclass we'll take, we may be having a different subclasses that may be derived based on their role, based on their job nature, and then based on any of the characteristics. So generalization is the reverse process of the specialization. Okay, several classes with common features are grouped into a single class, that is called as superclass. So original classes become its subclasses. We'll see the example. For example, we'll take car and truck. Both are belongs to the common category vehicle. So car, truck generalized into vehicle. But both car and truck become subclass of the superclass vehicle. So here in reverse way we can tell vehicle is having the subclasses car and truck, or car and truck are generalized into the superclass vehicle. That's why the generalization is called as a reverse process of specialization. We can view car and truck as a specialization of vehicle. Alternately, we can view vehicle is a generalization of car and truck. So it is represented here. Car and truck is car, truck is a car, it is having its own properties, truck it is having its own properties. Then vehicle is a common class. Within that we are having the subclasses car and truck we can take, or car and truck are generalized into the main class vehicle. Okay, so like this way we have to read. So in generalization and specialization, we can represent the diagrammatic notations are represent sometimes used to distinguish between generalization and specialization. So already we told we are going to use that arrow to represent it. Arrow pointing to the generalization superclass represents a generalization. Arrow pointing to the superclass represent the generalization. It will point to the superclass. Arrow pointing to the specialized subclass represent the specialization. So always the arrow will point to the specialized subclass. So that we have seen. So in the employee we are having that subclasses technician, engineer. Okay, there that arrow will point to the subclass down. But in this generalization category, car and truck are generalized into the category vehicle. So there that arrow will point to the superclass vehicle. Okay, car and truck arrows will point to the superclass, the vehicle. So this is called as a generalization. So this way is used to represent in the ER diagram. So especially this generalization, specialization will be used in the enhanced ER diagram, entity relationship diagram. So I think from this people have understood about ER model, then how to draw the ER diagram and so on. So this module, the first module is over. The first module we have covered about introduction to DBMS and the one of the conceptual model, ER model. So the next class, next module we are going to discuss about relational model and SQL. Thank you.